If it's one thing Coco Gauf is going to do, it's prove people wrong, myself included, and boy did she do that in Riyadh against Iga Swiatek today. Some say Iga gifted Gauf the win with her poor play, while others believe the sole credit should be given to Coco for her level. I'll delve into exactly how Coco notched her second career victory over the pole, and discuss Aryna Sabalenka and her clinching the year-end world #1 ranking. Hey, my name is Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more WTA Finals updates like this. Coco Gauf pulled off one of the biggest wins of her career thus far when she defeated Iga Swiatek 6-3, 6-4 in the WTA Finals. Not only is this Gauf's second victory over Swiatek in 13 meetings, but the straight sets victory solidifies Coco's spot in the WTA Finals knockout stage. Now, this match honestly was a mess, but the start of it was very promising as they split the first 6 games without any breaks of serve, despite Gauf having 4 opportunities to break. I thought after a while that Coco not being opportunistic and sealing her breakpoint chances would ultimately hurt her, but giving credit to her, she stayed strong, taking care of her serve for the remainder of the set. I think it was key for Coco in this first set to keep the double faults at bay, and for her standards, only hitting two double faults is very good. Gauf also served smart. She did different things like going up to the body against Iga, and she also served that slide serve out wide on the deuce side especially, which worked in her favor tremendously well, as she was really able to get Iga out the court and out of position before taking control of the point. Gauf also won a decent number of her second serve points, which has not been the case throughout their previous matches, but I think some of that was due to Iga returning very poorly today. There were times where Coco went after her second serve, but Iga either missed way too many second serve returns or did not make Coco pay for her weaker serves like she normally does. Also, Coco only made 46% of her first serves in the court in that opening set, so Iga did have quite a few second serve looks, but just could not capitalize. Iga's lackluster returning was evident in the first game of the second set, as Gauf hit 3 double faults this game alone, but she still came away with the hold, being aided by Iga missing routine returns and ground strokes. However, Gauf could not get away with hitting 3 double faults in a row in that following service game, which enabled Iga to get the break, and I thought that that would be the big turning point and Iga's favor, because Gauf got very frustrated at this point, and it was reminiscent of what we saw in that Wuhan semifinal against Aryna Sabalenka. Surprisingly though, Iga could not take advantage of that momentum shift at all, with Gauf breaking back immediately at love. I gotta give credit to Coco though for this, because yes, Iga made a lot of errors in that 2-1 game, but Coco, she controlled the double fault issues well that following game to save a break point and then consolidate the hold. You felt Coco had a chance to really put the final nail in the coffin in this match when she held 2 break points when she was up 3-2 in that second set, but Swiatek locked in a little bit more to hold before then breaking again, and that is in part due to Gauf hitting 2 double faults in that game. After this, I thought surely Iga would take control of the set, but Coco said not so fast. The American took advantage of the error-prone Swiatek to break right back before getting her first love hold of the match. Now, the final 4-5 game was a bit shaky from both, but credit to Coco for holding her nerve to seal one of the biggest wins of her young career thus far. Now, as alluded to in the intro, I'm already sensing a lot of tension brewing between the Iganators and the Coco Puffs in the comment section. I can see some Iganators completely discrediting Gauf's win by saying that Iga gifted it to her with her poor play, and then I know that some Coco Puffs will say that Gauf was solely responsible for forcing Iga out of her own game. I think that second point is true, but it does not tell the full story of the match, because Swiatek played pretty poorly regardless of what Coco did. I think talking about some of the points where Iga did not do well, I think first, her return. Again, Iga did not return nearly as well as she did against Gauf in matches prior, and I think some of this has to do with Swiatek adopting a closer first serve return positioning, which was not as successful for her. I believe this is where the faster court speed could aid Gauf in this matchup, as Iga likely felt like she had to rob herself of time to cover that wide slide serve of Coco. Gauf, meanwhile, was able to get more behind her return thanks to her taking a deeper step back and adopting a deeper return positioning. And as I mentioned earlier too, Iga just was not opportunistic on her second serve at all, on her second serve return whenever she had second serve serve return looks. Now, I also think the serve was a notable issue for Swiatek in this match, and the serve had been crucial for Iga in this matchup because she always seemed to hold pretty comfortably against Gauff, but not today at all. Iga simply just did not hit her spots as well as she did against Krejcikova, and she paid the price for it. That allowed Coco to step up and take advantage of both the first and second serve of Swiatek. I'm going to acknowledge in a minute how Coco's defense contributed to this next factor, but Iga just simply was way too error prone in this match. 47 unforced errors and a 6-3, 6-4 match is not good at all, and I think Swiatek pressed too much, and she should have honestly came in a little bit more to finish points up at the net, because I think she didn't lose a single point whenever she did come in. Now, Coco definitely, of course, made life difficult for Iga, first with her excellent returning. Coco got a lot of returns back in play, which is something she struggled to do in matches prior, and she really made Iga work very hard for her holds, and that's something we definitely are not accustomed to seeing. Gauff also returned very smart too. Oftentimes, she went deep up the middle to really handcuff Iga, especially on that backhand, as a lot of times, Iga was just rushed on the backhand, or she didn't get her feet in position enough to really deflect that ball back to where she needed to. Speaking of going up the middle, I thought Coco did a great job of rushing Iga with her backhand, particularly in going up the middle a few times, which I thought was a very smart play. Now, Coco's heavy spinning forehand caused quite a bit of problems for Swiatek today. The ball already bounces high in Riyadh, so I thought it was very smart for Gauff to hit her forehand with even more, spin and weight of shot like that to draw both errors and short balls from Swiatek's racket. The varying heights and spins Gauff employed really threw off the pole and disrupted her rhythm. A lot of times Coco even threw in some slice forehands, and those were good to draw some errors from Iga as well. As I mentioned earlier, as I alluded to earlier, I think Coco's impeccable defense likely applied more pressure to Iga and extracted more errors from the second seed's racket. I expected Iga to play better than she did against Krejcikova, but I overlooked how Barbora aided Swiatek in helping Iga come back in that match, with her throwing in more unforced errors midway through the match, and that definitely helped Iga settle in more. Gauff is not only more consistent than Krejcikova from the ground overall, but she is a far better mover than the Czech, and that made a huge difference. I think Iga felt more pressure to go for a bit more than she needed to, because she knew that Coco could track down so many balls, and it's already a recipe for disaster when you consider that Iga was not on her game at all, ground stroke wise. Like, this point right here is simply ridiculous though. Look at this hustling from Coco. Iga would have won this point probably against any other player, but Coco's movement right now is simply unmatched. Now, I do think Iga did mess up by not coming in at the net at this point, and I overall thought that once again Swiatek should have ventured forward more. Now, this result does raise a few pressing questions. For one, could Coco make this more of a rivalry here with Iga? Of course, yes, Iga was off in this match, but Coco proved that she has what it takes to hang with Iga from the ground, and even she has the game to trouble Swiatek. I say she can hang with Iga from the ground because her forehand, it's been much more consistent and much more of a reliable shot since the U.S. Open. That's been a huge shot. Even I've noticed during the U.S. Open, it was a more reliable shot, but now she's able to make it a weapon and use the varying heights and paces of shot to get the ball up and out of Swiatek's strike zone. And I think that can definitely cause problems for Iga when she's off her game like she was today. Again, I also think the faster courts could aid Gauff more in this rivalry, but Gauff still enjoys the clay, so I think that'll be the next hurdle for the American, beating Iga on the clay. I do not think it'll be a Sharapova-Serena type head-to-head. I think Gauff is too good for that, and I think she has proved that since the U.S. Open, she is going to be one of those players, and I think she deserves to be put in the conversation of perhaps Iga and being the generation's greats. And I feel like post-US Open, she's been top 2 best player, but right behind Aryna Sabalenka. I think also another question to be posed is this the first sign, or have we been witnessing post-US Open the first signs of a Coco Gauf dominant era or dominance? Coco has continued to prove me wrong, which I love. I picked her to lose in Beijing. I picked her to lose against Badosa and Muhova. Of course, she beat those two. And then here at the finals in Riyadh, I picked her to lose against both Pegula and Swiatek, and she beat them both. And I didn't pick her to lose against Sabalenka and Wuhan, and she nearly beat Aryna. And really, she should have beat Sabalenka if it weren't for the double faults. Coco also struggled with her serve here against Iga, but she still came out on top in straight sets, which is even more impressive. Plus, just how she was able to close out the match, knowing that the head-to-head is not in her favor. It just goes to show she is so mentally tough. I don't think I gave her enough credit for that, just being able to clinch the win in itself. I think people definitely need to put more respect on Coco's name. I've witnessed so many times in my comment section, even in the latest video. I know I picked Iga to win this match in 3 sets, but still so many people were saying, oh, Iga's going to win this easily in straight sets. Coco has no chance. Coco this, Coco that. Coco's not that good. But she has shown lately especially she is that good. And I think that she can be a dominant force on the WTA Tour in the future. I think 2025 will be a massive year for Coco, and perhaps, I know this is very early to say this, especially with Aryna Sabalenka extending her gap as #1, but Coco possibly can get to #1 next year. I once again, I know it's a bold statement, but I wouldn't be surprised if she did. Now, transitioning to talking about Iga, the question for a lot of Iganators is, should we be worried about Swiatek? Now, this is Iga's first tournament in a couple of months, and despite her saying that she wasn't rusty, she was clearly rusty, I feel. It's a question, though, of whether is it just mainly the rust, or is it in line with an apparent decline in Swiatek's game post Roland Garros. Now, in 2024, she was 46-4 at the time where she won Roland Garros. Now, in the tournament since Roland Garros, she is 15-5. That's not bad, but it's also, of course, when you compare it to the first half of 2024, it's a stark difference. Swiatek, I mentioned this before, she's not a clay court merchant, she's a slow court merchant. When you look at her 5 titles that she has won this year, they've all been on relatively slower surfaces. Doha, Indian Wells, Madrid, Rome, Roland Garros, all are slower courts. Iga was honestly bound to struggle a little bit more in Riyadh because she doesn't tend to perform as well under faster court conditions. We need to wait before getting all concerned with Iga, because it is normal, first of all, to have ebbs and flows in your form throughout the years, especially if you're like a great player like Iga. No player is immune to having drops in form, and this could definitely be one of those periods of Iga having a drop in form. I know that Iga probably thought that hiring a new coach would be the best bet for her. I did mention how I didn't think Wim Fizette would be the best pick, but once again, it's still early. The tournament isn't over for Swiatek, so we never know. There is a chance we could witness another Serena Halep 2014 ordeal where Halep, she beat Serena in the round-robin matchup before Serena got her leg back and clobbered the Romanian in the championship final. We could have a Iga-Coco final rematch here, but I think Iga will need to clean up her game if she wants a shot at getting to the final stage even. Now, talking about that, Iga is in danger of not even making it out of the group stage. Giving credit to Goat Ranka on Twitter, but if Iga is going to want to make the knockout stage, she's going to hope that Coco beats Krejcikova, who scored a dominant 6-3, 6-3 win over Jessica Pegula today. However, this next match against Pegula is a must-win for Swiatek, because regardless if she loses in any fashion to the American, she is out. If Krejcikova beats Gauff, whether it be in straight sets or in 3 sets, then Iga is likely out and Barbosa wins the group. The first and second placings for this group, this orange group, will be important too, because second place is guaranteed to face Aryna Sabalenka, the winner of the purple group, and Sabalenka is arguably in the best form of the tournament still, so I doubt that Coco will try and tank this match just to ensure that Swiatek does not make it out, because she has bigger fish to fry in Sabalenka. Now, speaking of Big Lenka, she of course seals the year-end world #1 ranking for the very first time after Gauff beat Swiatek today. Aryna is the first woman born in 1998 or later to hold this honor, and she's also the first Belarusian woman to do so since Victoria Azarenka in 2012. If you had told me after Iga won Roland Garros and after Aryna pulled out of Wimbledon that she would be year-end world #1, I would be shocked, because this is just such an incredible second half of the season the Belarusian has had. Really a dream with her. Not only, she won the Cincinnati, US Open, Wuhan, and then now she's into the WTA semifinals. And I just really have nothing more to say. It's incredible. Also thinking back to, the personal things that she dealt with off court, losing her ex-boyfriend in that tragic manner too. This has really been an incredible year for Sabalenka, and I think it's a fully deserved honor for her. It's also a little bit of a redemption moment for Sabalenka too, after she narrowly missed out on the year-end world #1 ranking last year to Iga, who got it and snatched it back up at the very last minute here at the WTA Finals. Sabalenka now doesn't have as much of an incentive to beat Elena Rybakina in this next round-robin match, but points and money are still on the line. If Sabalenka goes undefeated and wins the tournament, she will take home a record $5.2 million, which I know she wants. Those extra 300 or so points also help in giving Sabalenka a greater cushion to protect her #1 ranking when she goes for the three-peat in Melbourne. Speaking of three-peats, Novak Djokovic will not attempt one this year in Turin, as the Serbian announced that he will be missing the ATP Finals due to an apparent injury. I say injury in air quotes because Novak was on the beach and just relaxing and having vacation, so I don't think he's injured. I just think he didn't want to play. And he talked about skipping the championships for months, so this really doesn't come as too much of a surprise. Djokovic's withdrawal is significant because it marks the first year since 2001 where none of the big three members will compete in the year-end championships. Of course, Roger retired and Rafa is retiring. I think we're definitely in the midst of the changing of the guard, and the young guns are taking over now. And it's crazy that Daniil Medvedev will be the oldest finalist here in Turin at 28 years old. 2022 runner-up Casper Ruud also sealed his spot into the finals despite his questionable second half of his 2024 season. And then debutant Alexei Minor also makes it in, as well as Andrei Rublev, who would be playing his 5th straight finals. Although Rublev did pull out or had an ab issue in Metz in France, so question marks surrounding whether he'll play. Grigor Dimitrov might take his spot anyways. Someone said that Novak basically doesn't care as much about the big titles after he won that Olympic gold medal, and I think that's real. I think he still will care about the majors, but I think he's lost all interest in the ATP Finals now, which makes sense. He's won the thing 7 times, and he might not even ever play it again. I wonder though when he will eventually lose interest in even competing for the slams, and this is his first year going slamless in a calendar year since 2017. That is all I have for this video today, and let me know in the comments what y'all thought about this Gauff Swiatek match. Do you think it was more about Coco forcing Iga to not play at her highest level by the Americans' tactics, or was Iga simply off and it wasn't much to do with Coco? Also, feel free to drop your predictions for the upcoming matches for tomorrow between Sabalenka Rybakina and Pauline Zhang. Again, make sure you all subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post, again, more WTA Finals updates. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support. See you all next time here on Christian's Court.